I'm going to slow down a little bit. The last week or so I've been moving a little too fast and not giving the my audience here opportunity to relate. I think I've laid down some interesting principles whereby you can order your life. And I had said something last week about, well, when I speak about these principles, you can flash on the lack of them in your life. And for example, I had the lady and gentleman I'm speaking to about to speak about this evening, sitting in this audience. I was counseling with a couple this evening before I came here, and this lady is a very troubled lady, very angry lady, and she couldn't figure out what was wrong with her and why she's so angry, and come to find out that her father wasn't there for her when she was a little girl, and her husband is not there for her, meaning that she can't stand up to her mother. My mother's too strong. Mother's too powerful. She always reacts like a little girl, and she's got so many buttons and so many layers of trauma built up that it's so difficult. The conditioning is so strong, and here's her husband not understanding that he needs to intercede on her behalf, like her father. Every woman, see, looks for something in her husband that's like her father, like the father she never had. Trouble is, she always marries the kind of man, kind of father she had, so she can go on resenting. You know, I've spoken about that before. So, but cut a long story short, she couldn't quite put her finger on this resentment, this anger, this turmoil. It made her ill. It gave her a stroke. That and other things. And as soon as we brought that to the surface, I think that maybe we saw the bubble burst. I think she'll start getting better from now on. She says, that's it. I resent him because he should be there. He should understand that I can't handle my mother and my sisters. They're all too strong for me. It's killing me. He should understand that. And he doesn't understand that. He's nice to her too. I don't want anything to do with her, but if I want to speak up to her, but if I do speak up to her, if I try, it's too much for me. So she had this tremendous resentment towards her husband, which is the continuation for the resentment she had towards her father when she was, because her father wasn't there, and there's the continuation of your trauma. Is any ladies here who understand what I'm talking about? Anybody can relate to that? Now, if there's anyone, yes, would you like to?
No, but I can relate completely.
Good. I think you can relate to everything I say.
Yes,
I watch it. You've been here before. You're the lady who had started to convulse the other day. How's your demon, by the way?
I'm much stronger.
I mean, what did I take care of it, or is there another one in there?
No, I think there's another one.
There's another one there, so we might have a little eruption here this
But
evening.
I'm much stronger, but I've had a battle all week.
You have. And you're the gentleman also who, if you don't mind me bringing this up, may I?
No, sir, you can go.
Who reacted to a man who exposed himself to you, and sort of his spirit and his imprinting and his programming got into you and started to work its way through your life, didn't it? And how are you doing now?
Things are clearing. I'm beginning to...
Can you speak up a little bit?
I'm beginning to see a whole bunch of how things are all tied in. How
Tied into what?
the day that my mother... The day that my mother...
If you have a little emotion with it, it's okay.
It's...
If
The day that the man exposed himself, I was talking to my wife, and it came out that it happened the day that she was getting the drugs. I knew there was somehow...
in other words, your mother was on drugs,
Yes, sir.
and you resented your mother
She...
for that drug.
If we hadn't been doing what we were doing, that probably would have never happened.
You just lost me there. Were you doing what you were doing?
If we hadn't been going to the doctor, I remember her buying these drugs from the doctor. This whole thing would have never happened to me. And I could see that I'm very angry with my mother. I am very angry. And for some strange reason, I'm having a very difficult time letting it go. I don't...
Are you angry with your mother for letting this happen to you? Or being the reason why it did happen, because you had so much hate built up inside you? that you weren't resistive to shock. Didn't have any resistance to the insanity. Isn't that the problem you have? You're not resistant to suggestion. You're not resistant to the trauma, the cruelties and the pressures and the mad things that happen to you around you. Whenever we react to anything, we pick up the, if you pardon the Jewish, the mishigas. Have you heard that word? Mishigas is it's almost an American word now. We pick up the particular craziness. You know, if your father died from a heart attack and you hated your father, you suddenly will feel that you're going to die from a heart attack. You'll pick up almost any kind of strange behavior patterns, innuendos, suggestions. I had a man who felt he was becoming a homosexual. Why? Well, I'm just picking up, remembering some of the things that are recent. My memory isn't great for these examples. Maybe if you will please supply some of the examples yourself. There must be some people in the audience will supply me with some example. I'm looking for them. And the examples are interesting, and the examples, if you would express them, would release you from them, by the way. But this man was in the dress designing business, you know, with all the fruitcakes and all the homosexuals and the deep sexual deviates, and it's wall to wall. And he was in the business, although he wasn't one himself, but because he was susceptible, see, to the seductive influence which mother represented. See, mother represents a very seductive, overwhelming presence. So therefore, when he found himself in this environment, it didn't take much for him to start picking up what was intended for him, even though it wasn't overtly, you know, said. And he felt himself becoming, you know, feeling homosexual, thinking about men, and this is ridiculous. And he began to resent himself, to resent his own feelings, resent the fact that he had he used to try to fight that, and fighting it made it worse. Is that right? Now, do you remember what I said about the principles that whatever happens to you, when you react to something with resentment, that particular kind of strange behavior gets inside you, either directly, direct suggestions, or by innuendo, or even the spirit of it. It happens on 3 levels. It happens. Don't discount the spirit of it, because when a man gets married to a woman, he doesn't marry any woman. He may marry what appears to be the opposite to his mother, but he finds, to his dismay, what he has married is exactly the same as his mother was in the spirit. And pretty soon he draws that out, and pretty soon her behavior is like her too. See? He carries the genes, he carries the imprint of what he needs. See? Who understands that? Yes. Anybody want to sort of add more to what I'm saying then? Do you want to finish off what your thoughts are now? Am I making sense to you?
Yes, sir, you are.
So now, do you see that the resentment towards your mother has made you very, very easily seduced?
Yes, sir, I am very easy.
Because the spirit of seduction, whether it's a man exposing himself, is still feminine. The spirit of seduction is not masculine. And when men seduce, and men can seduce, they are better at it than women. Which is no compliment. Yes, sir, back there.
Okay, I can perfectly relate to what you say about how men can easily seduce women, even themselves, because whenever I meditate, after I meditate, I'm aware of, this may be a bit hard to explain, I'm aware of, let's just say, the part of me that is attractive to whatever a female is a woman is attracted to. Even that, and that part is also attracted to a woman. What she is.
It's a bit confusing.
Bit confusing?
Yeah, I think what you're saying. I mean, you've discussed this group before, and I have difficulty following you. So, unless you can explain it very well, you know, we're on TV and candid camera.
Okay, and
so if you can't get it right, don't add confusion to the group, if you don't mind. Okay,
well.
Thank you. Yes.
Just a little bit more.
By the way, before I take the thought any further, you can even be seduced by an evil eye. Who understands that you can have a look in a person's eye, and that? How many people have actually been affected by the evil eye? Well, yes, but don't laugh, because you're probably 30-40% of the people in the country, though you don't dare talk about it. Someone has a look, and this look puts something into you. And so I'll take that call. I'll take the call. I mean, I think I'm on.
You brought up, you made a statement that men can be better at the feminine seduction than women. Would you explain that? It sounds confusing to me.
No, I can't explain it because it would take too long. But you can just see that when men become women and women become men, you know, so women become better at being men than men are.
Yes.
You see, they change roles. Look what happens when...
It's an overcompensation.
It's an overcompensation.
Okay.
In other words, women become what happens when a woman seduces a man? When a woman seduces a man's soul, the woman becomes the man. Eventually she becomes dominant, and the man tends to become the woman. A strange exchange takes place. I haven't got time to go into that this evening because I could spend hours describing the process, and maybe one of these evenings we'll go into the reason why, but I have it in all my books. But I want to make sure that this is a discussion group this evening, and I don't get caught up in lengthy explanation. But you see that happens. Haven't you seen the masculine men and the masculine women and the feminine men? There's always an exchange taking place. People who want to seduce you, people who are master manipulators, they play the feminine role, and they're very supportive. I've dealt with sociopaths in my life. I've dealt with master manipulators, the likes of which you have never seen. And I've watched how they work. They're brilliant. They will be like a Jewish mother, but not so obvious. And pardon, I don't mean to be racial here. Italian mothers, same. It's just a syndrome that we kind of recognize and understand. It's no slur intended, but they are very supportive, and they will pretend that they are doing everything for you, and they're very supportive to your ego, very, very supportive, and they put themselves in a subservient position, and you feel like this person loves you and cares for you. And before you know it, though, a strange thing happens. They're in charge of you, and you're the one that's subservient to their demands. And, yes.
What I want to bounce off you is an observation, and I wanted to see if you had the same observation. I know, we'll say, that men are naturally more powerful than women, but women seem to be more power obsessed. Does that make sense?
That's correct.
It is correct.
But when men become women, they become power obsessed.
Could you explain that? Is there a quick?
Well, like I said, no, I can't. It's an observation. Can you see it?
Oh yes, I see it. It just doesn't make sense. It's,
See, men have obsessed with lust, and women are obsessed with power. Women that cater to that lust, they create the weakness. They create the need, the weakness, which to the man feels like is strength. When a woman caters to a man's weakness, creates it, or discovers it and caters to it, like all the psychopaths and sociopaths will find your weakness and cater to it. You want to be a movie star? They'll help you to be a movie star. Before you know it, you're serving them. You're enslaved. You'll help them to help you to become a movie star, and pretty soon you'll find yourself giving everything to them. They control you. They'll find your weakness and they'll cater to it. With men, it's lust. See, ego, lust. They stroke the ego of a man, bring out the lust, and then they soothe that lust. And so that by catering to a weakness, men become weaker. Women become stronger because men are dependent. Men are dependent on that love which supports something gone wrong with them, you see. And that whatever's gone wrong is the special creator of that which has created it and reassuring it. Follow that?
Makes sense to me. It's a con job to steal a man's power.
That's right.
There it is.
So therefore, once a woman becomes Once a woman begins to feel her oats, she begins to feel her power, she becomes obsessed with that. Because, let me put it this way, you're taking me a little fast, but once a woman becomes obsessed with this power, she becomes addicted to it herself. Men become addicted to the love, which is the lie, right? Stokes the ego. He feels like he's something, but he's not, but he's giving her power to help him feel that way. He is giving her power to lie to him. Because remember, woman doesn't have power on her own. Man has to give her the... You elect the kind of government you deserve too. You give them power to cater... You give the politicians power to cater to your egos and to pander to your selfishness. And pretty soon you find that they're in it for themselves, and they have power over you, you see? And that's how the system works, whether it's women politicians, feminine politicians, you see, because it's a feminine spirit, that spirit of... But you see, the addiction, this is an interesting thing. Human beings are meant to have a life of independent. Women are supposed to be independent of men. Men are supposed to be independently stimulated from within themselves. Remember we were speaking about that last week, that we meant to... There's an inner life of a man, and men and human beings are distinct from the animals simply because they're not motivated by their environment. They're not subject to their environment. They are, but they shouldn't be. If they are, it's got conflict. They have conflict between the inner and the outer worlds. The two types of motivation. If you take your motivation from the outside, then you lose the motivation from the inside. Now, men take their motivation from women because they are prideful. And they can only be something. They can only be rebellious against their conscience. They can only be prideful, feel like they're God, always right, never wrong, if they have someone that lies to them and supports, who caters to that ego need of theirs. The expression of, the failing of which is expressed in sexual terms. All men are ego-testicle. I don't mean to be crude, but they are egotistical. Because the falling of a man, the death of a man, remember we discussed this before, the death of a man, the dyingness is expressed in sexual terms. Because men are supposed to be imperishable. Timeless and imperishable. That is the original design of the man. So that, but when he tries to be God, through the seduction of the woman, the serpent in the female, the support of his ego, to rebel against God, to be his own God, then he comes away from God to be his own God. But the idea of God and the idea of good is all dependent on a woman's support, which is love. It's a false love. So this, see that? Now, so when a woman meets a man who has this need, who has this insecurity, and he can't be anything without her, because he's going to discover he's nothing without her, so he has to have a woman to buffer his conscience, to take him away, to help him rebel against reality, so he can be his own reality, through this lie. So that always when he finds a woman that accepts him, he falls for that lie. And the sexuality is awakened because that's death coming alive. See? Man would never be a sexual being. He would never have been a sexual being if the first man, Adam, had not disobeyed. Of course, it was all in the cards that he would, but we won't go into that now. You wouldn't have a human race unless that was the case. And there's a plan of salvation to be worked out through this. This is another lecture, another discussion. But the point is, try to understand that every man has this ego-testicle problem, that he is insecure. And his yearning, his reaching out is always away from his inner reality towards the woman's reality. And he pulls this lie up through her. And some women, you know, ladies, you know, you feel men pulling on you, don't you? You feel it and you resent it. And when you resent it, it separates you from your own reality. You are also an independent being. You could be beautiful and independent of man. And the purpose, my love for my wife, is to always try to make her dependent on herself. The same kind of infrastructure, the same kind of love of a God within herself is within her. She can't get love from me. My love for her is not to make her dependent on me. See? See? But if I'm weak, and if I have no inner infrastructure, if I'm egotistical or egotistical, then I'm going to reach to her for both of those needs fulfilled, aren't I? To be justified, and I need to lose myself in her love. See that? And feel that reassurance of that right is wrong. I mean, that right is wrong and wrong is right. Who's following me so far? Now, once once I fall in love and involve myself in her and draw up from, and give her power to lie to me so that my condition is made worse, and when my condition is made worse, I'm even full of more anxiety than I was before, I'm reaching out for her again, away from my anxiety towards the soothing of my guilt. I'm looking for her to be my savior and to be my fulfiller. Follow? I'm reaching beyond her, to her beyond, and giving her power to do this for me. See? Now, giving that power to lie, giving power to the lie, is not giving it to her, only to her body, but it's giving power to her spirit. So she doesn't get the power, it's the wicked, it's a meanness in her. There's a spirit in her that absorbs that energy and strength and awakens it. It's almost like a real demanding, witchy, wicked thing awakens that is totally confusing and dependent upon, encourages a man to be weak and encourages a man to depend. And when, in the moment he tries to seek a little freedom, he shows a little independence and starts to be reasonable with her, well, you see everything in her opposing that reason and confounding it. So he becomes upset. And when he becomes that, he's guilty. When he becomes guilty, out comes the ego sexual needs again. See, everything that separates a man, every temptation, whether it's love or hate, someone tempting him and putting him down and confusing him and him doubting himself. Getting caught up with an argument with a woman can make a man doubt himself, upset a man real good, can't it? Gentlemen, am I right? You ever tried an argument with a woman, all of a sudden you feel, you know, your sexual desires awakening? Who knows what I'm talking of, gentlemen? Oh boy, that hand out went up quick. But you see, and then he feels guilty, and then he needs a little loving, reassuring, and needs the guilt taken away, and the sexual pains eased. And then she's got him, you know, she's got him both ways. See? So, the point I was going to make, now I've laid a big foundation for this, is that once a woman becomes, a man falls to a woman, see, he falls in love, but a woman falls in hate and power. Woman loves that power because for a woman to respond, see, when he sees a weak man, it's like a card shark. When the card shark sees a nice sucker, something in him responds to the weakness, and see, because there's a pride in there that sees an easy meal, an easy mark. There are people like that all over the society. They excited when they see something weak. Well, there's within a woman, because she's hated her father, she's separate from God, and the only fulfillment she can find now is the fulfillment of a fallen man by serving a fallen man. Then she feels she has a place. See, that she's needed. Right? Follow me? Yes, sir. Over there.
It's very crippling to the male child to observe that relationship between his mother and his father.
Absolutely.
And now I'm to the point where I can see through all that, and when I call my mother on it, like I'm no longer going for her program, then she says that I'm nuts. That who put that in your head, she'll say.
Right. She doesn't want to be exposed.
Right.
Because that's the dark side of her.
Very dark.
Because she is dependent on power.
Yeah.
You see, because the woman that rises to the occasion of that man's need, or pressured to the occasion of that need by men, follow? Whichever occasion, the woman that succumbs to that to fulfill herself with the falling, with the substance of a man's failing. Do you understand what it is? Like an essence he gives off.
Right.
Two Alka-Seltzers in a glass of water gives off a nice refreshing fizz. Well, when a woman excites a man, when a woman responds to a man's need, there's a certain amount of energy that goes on there. And when a man loses himself in a woman, he's giving this, something goes out of him into this woman, and she's not involved in sex so much. It's a mental thing with her. It's up here with her and down there with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she killed my
father. Because his brains are down there, if you know what I mean.
She actually killed my father. He died at the age of 57, was a healthy man.
But all women, listen carefully, this is so scary. I'm bound to get a lot of hate mail. But women kill men, and then they die alone on this wretched earth.
She wants to kill me now.
Yes.
She's after me.
There's a definite compulsion to murder the innocence of their own children. In other words, this program this evening will probably receive so much call from the ladies in the audience who don't want their children to hear this sort of thing because they don't want to be discovered, because they are totally dependent upon the downfall of men. It is a spiritual something in women, some women, and it is addicted to the prostitutes are very, I mean, you don't have to, you can be a wife whore and a whore, and you see, and a woman that sleeps around for those, to fulfill those needs. You fulfill men, but you take advantage of the advantage taker, if you know what I mean. It's one-upsmanship, and it's a life need, and a woman becomes addicted to that, and that's how she becomes a man, because she's taking the essence and the intelligence of a man. And when a woman takes the intelligence of a man, she has a sort of a woman's fairness. There's a certain kind of woman's intuition that's very much like men should be, but they use that intelligence and common sense or intelligence that is manlike, which is the authority of the home, in a way to confound everybody and to consolidate her power.
Absolutely.
Is that right, ladies? Can I say, do ladies agree with me?
Yes.
Yes, you do? Good. Thank God for that. Men, you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. The exchange of roles between men and women, and women getting a lot of power and becoming addicted to the downfall of men. And they nag the life out of you, they love the life out of you. After a while, men become afraid of the loving they need. Any men here afraid of love and need it just the same? Yes, your hand goes up.
What I do that's wrong, and I don't know how to control it, is when I come up against that wall of denial, then it puts me into a rage.
That's right, you're
I
married,
react
obviously.
with rage, yeah.
Yes, in other words, because you see what you've done is that we're looking at, and I'm using this opportunity to share with you some very interesting principles. Never mind what the psychologists say and the psychiatrists say, they're full of beans, you know what I mean, amongst other things.
Totally.
And they're trying to make something work that cannot work. There is a natural relationship, but there's an environmental relationship which is between men and women that is unspoken and unsung. They sing about the other one. They glorify the crazy one. But there is a natural order, and the natural order should be that, let's sort of state it for the record, and then we'll come back to you again. The natural order should be that man must listen to his common sense. In other words, he lives by inspired revelation. And that, in other words, that's his obedience to God comes to not having an ego, but being transparent. That ideally is what men should be. That they should love what's right, and they should be the champions of that, of virtue, and caring, and loving, and understanding, and dealing with the temptations of a woman. A woman senses that when a man is strong within himself, obedient to his Creator, he doesn't need her. He doesn't need her support. So he can stand up to her. You can't stand up to somebody you need. If you don't have any money, you can't stand up to your boss. You have to take it whatever he hands out, and resentfully too. So what men must be is totally independent of women. And women test a man like that. She can see that she feels sort of secure, relieved that she can't have, unburdened, even relieved from resentment she'd had for men in the past, especially her father. See, when she can find a man like that, it relieves her of judgment towards men, and the judgment which originally separated her from the ground of her own being. See, so that she felt this void and this need for men in a strange way to fill her emptiness with their downfall, because that's how she compensates for the hate of men, with the infilling of their love, you know, sort of sucking in the essence of their miserable carcass. Oh, it sounds very poetic, doesn't it? But you're following they imbibe them. See?
Sure.
Women drink in the essence of men by exciting them, and they become addicted then and they get this terrible power. And after a while, they assume a reverse role. That instead of men being the head of the household and enlightened reason ruling the roost, and all the kids respecting their father because he can deal with the mother okay, and the mother is respecting the husband, and the children respecting the father, and everybody respecting the father, then all of the imprinting, if you like, and all of the character development, who's dishing out the characters, is the father, and the father within the father, the spiritual, the parent spirit of the father, you see. But when men are rebellious, or they are violated by their mothers, so they become woman-centered, imprinted, traumatized, like a drug addict goes back to the pusher. So does a man go back to his wife and find in the wife what is the reassurance of the mother. That's the second phase. See? And then woman, and there's this terrible emptiness in him because he's separated from his male ground of being, pulls on the woman, and then the woman completes, through the woman, rising to the occasion of his need through his pressure, him not knowing how, he has a vacuum in there, he sucks her in, see? He sucks in this missing piece of himself. So he thinks he's more, but he's less. Same as the drug addict, see, with a pusher. See, so that's all men think of the idea as completion to a woman. But it's a completion to the hell. He's dealing with hell without realizing it. So, but then he gives up the intelligence. He gives up his direction. His knowledge and his knowing is sort of almost like a woman evolves him. But the only difference is he becomes subservient. Some men rebel and become violent and beat women to the ground because they retain or try to retrieve by violent animal means what they've lost in the spirit. But see, this dark spirit in this woman becomes the dominant spirit in the home, and then she's got this power and this leadership and this womanly intuition that men rely so heavily and are so eager to be guided by, which is the ruination of their life, because they got no other direction except that. Because the mother managed to destroy that direction, so the only direction he has is outwardly. He doesn't understand the pain of his guilt, the pain of anxiety. It's always been relieved by a woman, and made worse by a woman, and made better by a woman, and made worse by a woman. See what I mean? It's like the drug addict. The more you drink, the more you drug, the more you fix yourself, the more you need to fix yourself, because your latter condition is worse than the first. But you only know that way to go. You don't know how to look to that spirit that created you to reassure you and renew you, to renew itself in you, so you grow to be a complete idiot, see, or a stud, and a nincompoop. And the direction is always in the woman. And a woman, some women love it. They love the power. Some women hate the power. See, they don't know what to do with this power. They confound their children, because this is the power in the home. See, and they unconsciously, when the husband tries to rise with a little semblance, a modicum of common sense, she'll smash it down because she has the power to do it. Try to argue with a woman. The hardest thing in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies, you've had a mother. You know what I'm talking about. You had a mother like that you tried to reason with, and she drove you crazy. Pretty soon you didn't even know what you were talking about. You want to correct her? You want to make a point? She confused you, so you'll be hanging on the ceiling and thinking you're standing on the ground. 3 hours later, you forgot the subject. Is that right?
That's right.
So what it is, you're dealing with this mass of confusion that uses the intellect and whatever. She may go to the church and learn some church principles and throw those in there for good measure.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Right on.
And this self-righteous witch, he tries to teach everybody how to be right.
Yeah.
And it wants to drive, and the boys in the home see all that. They see through this, but the woman always manages to confound what he sees, till he feels like he wants to blow his brains out and go out and rob someone because it's sucking the life out of him. See? The reaction to her is taking all the strength he's got. No one dares to talk about this on TV, except little old winemaker me. Now, you're good. I got a report going with you, haven't I?
I even took it one step further. I finally figured out that I was going out into the world and making everybody out there my mother, in this weird way, to try to prove that I was a good guy, that I was okay.
You're proving yourself to your mother.
Yeah, I wanted to prove to the world out there that I really was a good guy.
And if you succeeded, what would you have been? Would you have been a better person?
No, and it was no success. There was no way to succeed. I mean, because everybody could see what I was doing. And
but only because if you proved yourself, all you do is become enslaved to the mother spirit.
That's right.
For the sake of the lie which you call approval. You would never have been happy with it.
Yep. That's right.
No wonder people are alcoholics and drunks. Because this spirit of confusion is in everyone. Yes, young lady.
This is gonna be
You feel a mother coming out of you?
Yeah, because it's like you're saying all women almost should just go out and blow their heads off.
No.
Well, listen.
No,
it's-
please. I'm not saying that. I'm saying,
because
please, let's get the record straight. We're just describing a condition, an errant condition. And if you have not got it, then don't feel bad.
You described my life to a T, my childhood.
But if you're
Not all women, 99 and 9/10%. Now, I don't mean to be...
It's chaos.
I'm glad you're taking this good-naturedly, you mothers out there.
If chaos is in the house,
That's where it is.
Maxwell Smart isn't very far away. Yeah, that's about the size of it, isn't it? Maxwell, not so smart. He's created it. Go on, I'm just kidding you.
there's just something that's not pulling together. And probably for a lot of women, what you're saying.
What's not,
Well,
listen.
what I'm saying is, I understand the concept, but I'm saying, if a woman don't want the power, never wanted the power,
Yeah.
and she's being pulled and tugged.
We spoke about that already. I said, remember, for whatever reason, whether a woman enjoys it or doesn't, she gets it whether she likes it or not.
Well, if you get it, if you
She's
want
in
it
a-
or not,
women-
what do you do with
listen.
it?
And now how do you give it up?
Yeah.
How do you give up the power? That's the good question. Because you don't want to be this witch, do you? In other words, you may know that you are. And you may know that you have this dominance over men. And that somehow that your loving is out of guilt. And trying to keep, well, maybe you think, well, the reason why he's this way is because maybe I'm not loving enough. You think, well, you suspect that loving has done it to him, right? But then you start to doubt that. That is the truth. Because you have lots of guilt because you hate him. And when you hate him, you feel guilty, like you've done something wrong. Like you could make up for that wrong, and so the idea comes to you from the very hell that's within you to love him more. And men, of course, men are opportunists. They can always go for a little extra of that. So the trouble is, when you love him more, he's worse. The more you love him, what you women do is love out of guilt. Love out of emptiness. Love to keep the peace. Love out of the pressure that men that you've addicted to your body apply to you. Because when they start to pressure you, when they start to pull on mama for sex, for see that little baby, this man is like a baby because he's your brainchild. He's growing out of your love when he should be growing out of God's love. He substitutes you as a God. Something with it, your spirit is like the spirit of his fulfillment, and is losing himself in you and fulfilling, surrendering, immersing himself in your arms and your flesh, and going down into your spirit and pulling this out, see, and leaving something of himself inside you, which is the power.
In the situation, this is my wife, by the way,
Okay.
and in the situation that my wife is speaking of, I'm more the culprit in most situations than she is.
It's always men's fault.
I'm victimizing. I'm victimizing her in if not mentally, I'm not physically abusive, but because of, you spoke last week of the predisposition of your environment when you were growing up creates a person that becomes
Which is for the person that created it.
something like that.
Which is for the circumstances and the spirit and the familiar the familiar sounds and smells. So to
Yes,
speak,
I know what you mean. She's the victim, and she's resisting great. I'm not trying to put any pat her on the head or anything.
But she
I'm more-
resists what she's doing. She's resists catering to the little boy in you.
Yes.
See, have you given up resenting him? When he pulls on you for this need, and pulls the mother out of you rather than the woman, the wife, and you start to resent it. That's where the women start to resent. That's where you lose your power to resist, because resentment is a temptation in the man. It's what temptation's in the woman. See, and men don't tempt women, and women don't tempt men. It's men tempt women to tempt them. See, women never tempt. But through the need of men, it's that need that pulls, and men tempt women to tempt them. So when women do tempt them, then there's more of her temptation, her nature, in the man. So the man tempts the woman to tempt him. So what you're dealing with temptation. you're dealing with temptation in a man. It's your spirit that's in him calling out to you to love, to lie with him and lie to him, see? So now you're dealing with temptation. You don't see it in yourself, but when it comes through you, into the man, and it's your brainchild now, you've imprinted him with something in you, it cries out to you in a tempting way. Okay, you're my God, fulfill me. You made me, you created me, I came through you. Is that right? Yeah, so now it pulls on you, but this, to a sensitive woman, this condition is obnoxious. It's loathsome. See? And to the whore, this is delightful. This is, hello, dearie, She's got, a dream woman will always be a woman that always accepts a man no matter what, right? No matter how scummy and how low he is, and he smells and dirty and filthy, he's got fleas all over him and sores. She will accept him like there's nothing wrong there. For the power. She's addicted to that. She can survive all those smells and filth, you see. But to a sensitive woman, she can't lie with that. She can't touch that. See? So there's a resentment, but the temptation, because she resented her father. Her father was just like that. See? So she's created out of in other words, when she resented her father when she was a child because he was that way with her mother. But when a woman resents her father, it sets the stage for separation from self. So there's no fulfillment, except she plays the role that men want them to play, because that way she gets at least some fulfillment, even if it's from the dying of a man to her. Follow that? Who's following that? Is it not too complicated, is it? Now she's addicted to that. And she hates men. And she hates her own lot on this earth. And she's in terrible agony. But I'm telling you, next time your husband pulls on you, have compassion on it. Do not hate him for it. Do not resent him, because the resentment separates you further from the ground. It makes you even more empty and causes you to compensate with eventually your love, only because you're so empty. You got it. You've got to fill yourself with the very thing you hate.
Then she'll love out of complete guilt.
You love out of complete guilt.
I got it.
Oy vey. Okay, way back there.
I have a memory as a child of seeing my mother and dad in bed on Sunday morning and being jealous that she was making him happy. And I don't have a memory of knowing anything about sex at that time.
Yes.
But I've been deeply ashamed of the idea that, and even at that moment I remember.
Well, you see, jealous of your father's love
Well,
for your mother?
they didn't really get along. I mean, from time to time.
You see, but see, now we turn back the clock a little bit. They didn't get along. How did you react when they didn't get along?
Well, I was terrified, but I think
Aha.
I put myself in her place.
That's right, you became identified with your mother. So when your mother got all this attention, see, you felt like that was the jealousy came from. And the jealousy is a form of resentment, in case you didn't know.
I'm learning that.
And that makes you empty, and makes you, it changes your relationship with men from that point onwards, so it will always be wrong and never right.
Exactly.
You dig?
Exactly.
Okay, if you don't dig, you're going to be digging.
Was my father a part of that? I mean, was he tempting me?
All men do. Listen, let's be honest, gentlemen. I mean, I know probably going to get somebody come over here, one of the big macho man, logger or something, come right here and, knock me right through the wall, but that doesn't make him a man. See, I'm only telling the truth as I see it, that all men are abysmal failures. All men disappoint women horribly. I got this beautiful 30-year-old, I hate them, beautiful 30-year-old blonde sitting in this audience, and I want to, she can't find that she is looking for a man, and she can't find one because they're all sick. She can have the best men. She can have all the men she wants, film stars. She's a very attractive young lady, and they all want to do one thing, and it makes her sick. They want her to be a mother, a sexual mother. See, it's like having sex with a mother or something. They have a choice name for that, don't they? And But she can't, because they're all the same. They have this horrible, sick need that it paws and claws and pulls on her, and it's a loathsome thing. All men want something from women. All want. And whatever they have to give is only destructive to themselves and destructive to the man. That's why the marriages fall apart. Because there's some kind of egocentric concept that every problem is going to be solved when you get married. It's happiness and paradise. It's a living hell, because you're entering into a lie with each other. That's what why I written in my book, The Adam and Eve Syndrome. I call it the Adam and Eve Syndrome because I see every one of you playing out the same role. It's the same scene, the same drama, just different bodies taking place. You know, as your mother and father died, whoop, two more take their place, whoop, they died. Romeo and Juliet, whoop, there they go again. Same old. If you go back to, thousands of years and go to the divorce courts and put your ear to the keyhole and look at the arguments in every language. You always come home drunk. Do you always bring up my mother? It's the same story. You're no good so-and-so. You two-timing rat. And you see the same thing, mothers getting frustrated with their kids and confusing them and confounding. This is the same thing. It's just all hell breaks loose because we do not know what love is. The human race is sustained by feminine love, and that is not love at all. Now I repeat, and I challenge, take all challenges. Women live, come and get it. The women do not know how to love. Women, you feel like you've been elected to be the fount of love, don't you? Women always, you're worshipped. The whole idea of feminine poptitude, or whatever you call it, is worshipped. Marilyn Monroe, sexual objects. Motherhood, sexhood, Robin Hood, I don't know, whatever it is. Robin Hood. But you see, women have been put on a pedestal, and they are seen conveniently from this masculine, macho world as the object of love and the center of the fount of love for their ego existence. It's glorified. And they do not realize the pressure, the pain, and the suffering that they lay on the ladies. Is that right, ladies? You see, can I see a show of hands, just so that the people in the audience won't think I'm completely nuts? You could be all hypnotized or something. I made you say that, But I think there's a lot of people in the audience agree. And a lot of the people in the audience, I mean, in the video land out there, they are absolutely seething with anger. I mean, men and women, they don't want this secret to come out. They don't want it discussed. It's the secretness of what goes on. Now, Mother's Day is coming up. Well, it may have just gone by. I'm not really keeping score, but another one's coming up if it has. And we're all going to honor Mother. There's nothing to honor.
Absolutely.
And ladies and gentlemen, what is this business about honoring Mother and Father? They're not there for us. I don't mean to say that we should dishonor Mother and Father. The whole gist of this discussion is to make you realize that you've hated your mother and father, and make you realize that the hate that you have for your mother may be the love for another mother, if you know what I'm trying to say. In other words, you may hate your mother. I still lose some people. See? In other words, the hate you have for your mother. Have you ever seen two women very close to mother and daughter very close? Every close mother, I can hear women saying, "I don't hate my mother. I'm very close to her. We love each other." If you look very, some people are never going to be honest with where their love comes from, out of guilt, out of need. There are other women out who have the same close relationship who can see this loathing and the seething they have for their mother, and they see that they are made out of their mother, that their mother hasn't given them a chance to be themselves, therefore they can't be anything without mother, therefore they must serve mother in order to be anything. They need their mother's approval. And yet when they get it, and it's such a syrupy, dishonest, unwholesome, emotional, close thing, and then the child feels enslaved, but she dare not speak up because she's afraid of mother's disapproval, because mother's God. One roar from God and one disapproval from God, and the child disappears. Is that right?
Right.
See? But this is what they call love. And the same thing with the need that men have for women. That's not love. It's lust, it's need, it's weakness. And women imbibe it. They're addicted to it. They loathe it, and out of the loathing comes guilt. Out of guilt comes making up for guilt. And it looks like love. See? She loves to tempt the man. Her love is a lie. Men fall for that, and women suck on that failing. See what I mean? And then she feels good for a little bit. She feels fulfilled, and you know, they're in bed together, so banging away, if pardon the expression. And you know, the morning after, the night before, she's a bigger ogre than he was before, a demanding witch, and he's, you know, an irresponsible swine. Can we continue this to tomorrow night, which is still tonight?
Foundation of Human Understanding teaches an observation exercise, often called meditation, which permits you to become objective toward your problems and allows your heartaches, bad habits, fears, and anxieties to be completely eliminated from your life without effort on your part. Until you have begun to practice this exercise, much of what you see and hear on the following program may be shocking and upsetting to you. You may discuss life. Here is Roy Masters.
Welcome once again to the program, How to Control Your Negative Emotions. Actually, you shouldn't have any emotions at all, because all emotions are negative, but that'll grab you. We'll hope you'll listen to the rest of our discussion here. But we were talking about things that will really make you emotional, that men are wicked and women are wicked. How does that grab you? See? I mean, men are wicked. They're wicked for the wicked, the naughtiness of the woman, see? And they play with that and they draw that out. And I was saying, and we were discussing in our last program, the terrible things that go on between men and women, how they destroy one another. There's the secret energies, hatreds, and loves, which is not really love at all. The love-hate relationship. And we were discussing some of the games that were being played, which are not mentioned by anyone. You can't find any books on the subject, except in the Satan Bible. They teach you all that stuff that you do kind of naturally with each other. You degrade one another for the various pleasures that women degrade men and men degrade women. They have to degrade women for the pleasure, to get pleasure out of them. A man can't walk up to a very stately lady. I mean, try to make a pass at Margaret Thatcher and you hit you with a handbag. You wouldn't. I mean, you'd never think of it. I'm sure she was an attractive lady. When she's young, she's still a very attractive woman now. Dignified. She has children. But I'm sure that you just couldn't. Any man couldn't walk up to her and make a pass at her. She was a very dignified lady, and it's so that you don't. Women who are virtuous, decent, not an easy mark. Men are not interested in them. Gentlemen, ladies, haven't you noticed how hard it is to find a man when you're clean and you're innocent and you want what's good and right? Who's noticed that? You can't see, and they get in. The minute you start to be naughty and start making those little movements, you can get in. They come to you like flies to dung, don't they? See, pardon the expression, but you don't want any man, do you? I mean, do you just want? Isn't it better for you to go through life, you know, innocent and never know a man as long as you live, and then have one of those dogs? To be barefoot and pregnant and never know whether you're going to get AIDS or not. You know what I mean? Never know what he's going to bring home. Even another woman. They're two-timing rats. They're only loyal to you for the sake of whatever you can give them, which isn't good for them anyway. Either one of you is not good for you either. See, but all of this is glorified. All of this romance, the sick man-woman relationship, you can guarantee that any time they sing songs about something, there's something wrong with it. See? Anytime something's glorified, it's got to be bad. Because it's something that's bad that would be noticed if it wasn't glorified. See what I mean? And therefore, men look to women to glorify their weakness. That way they don't have to feel uncomfortable. And they have to reach into the woman for that lowest part of her to respond, to lie to him as she lies with him. Both the egotistical problem, you know what we were talking about? I guess I've worn that joke out. Well, I've got to be a little lighthearted about this heavy subject. I don't want to be accused of being morbid or down on women. I'm down on men and women. As a matter of fact, you know, someone reminded me in the break, one of the station managers says, don't say all men, all women are bad. Just the station manager said most. But I'm saying all men and all women have the same problem. I'm not, except me, because I'm not a man. I don't want to be identified with the human race. Thank you very much. I'm not sure how you identify me with the animals. They're better than people. People are phony. They're rotten or they're phony, but there's nothing in between. There's a few people out there who are decent, but they're mocked. Your kids go to school, and they have a semblance of independence and common sense in them, and they go to school and they won't conform. The kids mock them. They've already been destroyed. They're already degrading the poor creatures. The little kids all alone, standing there all against those little pigs who've been ruined by their mothers and fathers, and all the kids know how it is to make fun of them and laugh at them and degrade them and gang up on them and beat them up and mock them and take advantage of them, right? I had to take my kid out of school when he was 11 years old. It wasn't, the teachers were not near as bad as the kids. I mean, at 11 years old, he was so logical, he didn't want to take a shower with all the boys. So they accused him of being a queer and homosexual. He didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but he got the drift of it. He says, just a minute, you're calling me a homosexual and queer, and yet you stand in the shower naked with each other. You know, he's really logical. He didn't lose his logic, did he? I'm the one that's modest, and you accuse me of being queer, right?